the Lord said to me, don't be average, and your life won't be average. You don't be average, and your business won't be average. You don't be average, and your career won't be average. Your salary won't be average. Your lifestyle won't be average. See, your life will only grow to the extent that you grow. Story about a young guy who was attending a conference by John Maxwell. And John Maxwell agreed to do a Q&A at the end. So this young college graduate was just observing everything about the conference, just admiring John. Well, think about it. There were 2,000 people in attendance who paid $2,000 each. In fact, I'm going to grab my pocket calculator and do some math. So 2,000 times 2,000 is $4 million in 1 weekend. So this kid stood up and said to John Maxwell, I want to do what you do. Maxwell said, what do you think I do? He said, well, you write these best-selling books, you speak at conferences, you impact lives. He said, I want to do what you do. And John Maxwell said to this guy, he said, young man, it's not a matter of doing what I do. The question is, do you want to do what I did so you can do what I do? Now, here's my point today. You can't have $1 million dream with minimum wage habits. Let me repeat that. You can't have $1 million dream with minimum wage habits. In other words, do we want to pay the price in order to have that life? By the way, I'm Terri Savelle Foy, your cheerleader of dreams, and I want to talk to you today about 5 habits that can absolutely organize your life and help you live an extraordinary life. Are you ready? Okay, let's get right into it. Habit number 1 is to become a planner. I found out successful people plan. You know, they say failing to plan is planning to fail, right? Well, when I say plan, I mean on paper. Plan everything. Plan your days, your weeks, your months, your life. First of all, it feels great to get all that stuff out of your head and onto paper. It's one of the best things you can do to relieve stress and overwhelm. And second, it's motivating to literally check things off. So I found out the most successful people in the world have a planner, and they never go to bed without planning the next day. Even Mary Kay Ash of Mary Kay Cosmetics, she attributed her success to the fact that every single day she wrote down her 6 most important things each day. Whatever she didn't finish, she carried it over to the next day. So this right here, I'm telling you, she attributes to her success. I think I'll grab a pen and a journal, don't you? In fact, a recent study found if you just spend 5 minutes writing your to-do list the night before leads to more peaceful sleep. So never go to bed without planning your next day. Got it? Habit number 2 is to lead yourself. See, before you can lead anyone else, you must learn to lead yourself. So at that same conference where the young guy told John Maxwell he wanted to be just like him, he also stood up. He said, John, I love your leadership principles. He said, I keep thinking, man, I wish I had somebody to lead. I wish I had a company or a department or a team. He said, where should I start? You know what John Maxwell said? Good question. Start with you. He said, if you wouldn't follow yourself, why would anyone else want to follow you? In other words, start developing the habits in you that you would want to teach someone else. Have the habits that you want to impart into someone else. In fact, I think a good exercise is to imagine a teenager coming to you and saying, I want to learn how to be successful. Can I just shadow you for the next 5 days and just watch your habits? What would they see? You know, what would they observe about your daily life, your routine, your rituals, your habits that would motivate them to want to be just like you? You know, personally, after I graduated from college, I worked for 11 years and did not grow myself at all. 11 years. I slept right up until the last minute to go to work, got dressed, run out the door, get to the office. I would get to work just barely on time. I would listen to music and sing and dance on the way to work. I did the same thing all the way home. Then I would get home, turn on the TV, and watch it all evening. And the thing is, I got more intrigued in other people's lives, in other words, watching them live their dreams more than my own dreams, until it was time to go to bed and then do it again the next day. Now it makes sense to me why in 2002, when I was falling apart, didn't didn't have any vision for my life. And the Lord said to me, don't be average, and your life won't be average. You don't be average, and your business won't be average. You don't be average, and your career won't be average. Your salary won't be average. Your lifestyle won't be average. See, your life will only grow to the extent that you grow. In fact, I heard Jim Rohn say it like this. He said, your money will only grow to the extent you grow. Well, that applies to everything. Your ministry will only grow to the extent you grow. Your career, your business will only grow to the extent you grow. And I just made a decision to start doing 5 things every single day to lead myself. Now, I didn't have a success coach show up and tell me these 5 things. I was just desperate for change. So what were the 5? I said, I'm going to make myself pray every day. Whether it's 5 minutes or 20 minutes, I'm going to pray. I'm going to read something. I'm going to listen to a faith-building message. I'm going to review my dreams and goals. And I'm going to exercise. And I had a planner like this, and every day that I kept my commitment with myself, I checked it off. And I'm telling you, be very intentional about your personal growth. For example, I had to ask myself, when are you going to pray? If you're seriously going to do that, when are you going to do it? When are you going to read or exercise or listen to a motivational message? So what happened was, rather than get overwhelmed by this list of new habits, I began to schedule them in my planner. See, what gets scheduled gets done. So I thought, well, I could pray in the morning while I'm walking outside in my quiet time from 6 to 6:30. I could read for 20 minutes on my lunch break. I'm just sitting there anyway. I could listen to messages while I'm getting ready in the morning. I got to get ready anyway. I can push play. Now, you've probably heard the stories. I did this for 21 days, then 30 days, then 2 months. And here's the thing, I haven't stopped. I had no idea those 5 habits were enabling me to live an extraordinary life. It took me from ghostwriting books for other people to authoring books. It took me from attending conferences to speaking at conferences. It took me from watching TV for hours to hosting a TV show. I'm telling you today, be very intentional about leading yourself. You got it? Okay, my 3rd habit is to expose yourself to greatness. Here's the thing. Where you are is not where you're supposed to stay. God has so much more for your life, but you'll stay small if you keep a small mindset. In fact, I remember hearing a story about a man he was out fishing one day. I just happened to have a fish. And he said he just noticed this other man across the pond fishing. And every time this guy caught a big fish, he would throw it back in the water. When he caught a small fish, he'd keep it. This went on all day long. So the guy watching this became so curious, he said, something's fishy. He finally asked, he said, why do you keep throwing all the big fish and you keep the small fish? The guy said, oh, that's easy. He said, all I have is a 10-inch frying pan. What am I saying? He was missing out on something bigger and greater for his life because of his limitations. Well, it's the same in life. Before we can see increase on the outside, we must see increase on the inside. See, you can't do better in your life in an area where you haven't been exposed. God's word says, I pray the eyes of your understanding be enlightened, right? For example, if you're the smartest one in your group, you need a new group. If everybody around thinks you're the coolest, the wisest, the wealthiest, the most successful, you're in the wrong group because you're not growing if you're always teaching. You need to be around people who make you feel challenged and awkward, uncomfortable. Those are just signs that you're being stretched, that you're growing to a new level. Get around people who are doing more than you, who know more than you. Don't allow people who haven't achieved their dreams be your mentor. In fact, I remember going to Kenneth Copeland's 80th birthday party years ago. It was coming to the end of the year, and I was feeling a little drained. It was in December. I had traveled to, I think it was 48 cities, 23 states, 5 countries. I had taped 52 podcasts and the TV broadcast. I wrote a new book. I recorded the audio book. I did TV for my dad. I was just worn out, and I was starting to complain just a little bit about my schedule and how, I never have a day off and I'm always working. And that feeling of self-pity was starting to come on me. Well, right when that exhaustion and complaining started to come on me, that's when I was invited to Kenneth Copeland's 80th birthday party. Well, right as I pulled up to check in the hotel, Kenneth Copeland's security said, "Terri, do you want to meet someone?" I looked at the car door opening, and it was Pat Robertson. He kissed my cheek, said the sweetest things. I was like, "That's Pat Robertson." Then I walked down to the ballroom, and there's John Hagee, Pat Boone, Creflo Dollar, Andrew Womack, Jesse Duplantis, Terri Savelle. Now, that's when I really flipped out. So, my favorite preacher. But I was surrounded by greatness. Talk about exposure. As I sat there that night watching Kenneth Copeland's life story on video, where he started and what he's achieved, I sat there thinking, come on, Terri, you haven't done squat. I mean, look what this man has done. Then Kenneth Copeland walked up to me and he said, "Girl, you ought to see my vision board." He was turning 80. He's already achieved 50 lifetimes of credentials and success, and he's full of vision. I mean, he's not slowing down either. He was describing how big his vision board is. I said, "Mr. Copeland, that's not a vision board. That's a vision wall." But I decided that night, I said, I'm going on a mission to listen. I don't want to talk about my ministry. I just want to listen and learn. Well, the whole night I'm visiting with friends like Dr. Caroline Leaf, and she's telling me about organic farms she's putting in and brain research and TED Talks and TV shows. And I'm hearing from my friends talking about how they're at the party that night, but they're going to fly home and speak 2 times the next day and 2 times Sunday and team meetings on Monday. And I'm sitting here listening to what everybody's doing, and some of them were going to New Year's Eve with the president. I was like, "The president of what?" And they're like, "The United States." But I was just listening to everybody, and I'm telling you, it didn't intimidate me. It inspired me to come up higher, to stop thinking small, pull myself up by not the bootstraps, but the stilettos, and get moving, right? So what I'm saying is when you expose yourself to greatness, it causes you to come up higher. Now, when we come back, I want to share 2 more habits with you that I'm telling you will help you get organized and live an extraordinary life. I'll be right back.
Have you been stuck in a rut and are ready for change? Maybe you sit down at the end of the day and wonder, what did I accomplish? Well, it's time to get organized and create an effective plan for the big dreams and goals God has placed in your heart. With Terri's new My Dream Routine Planner, you'll be able to easily create clear, daily, weekly, and monthly action plans to live on purpose and reach your goals. Inside this practical 90-day planner, you can keep track of your daily personal growth habits, as well as journal your time with the Lord and your gratitude, plan your days, review your goals, speak positive declarations, and so much more. Hurry over to Terri.com or call the number on the screen to order now at this special price. Get ready to accomplish more, stay focused, and pave your clear-cut way to success. Don't delay. Call the number on the screen or go to Terri.com today.
I'm so excited to finally have a custom designed planner based on the habits of the most successful people. Now, these are habits that were not a part of my life years ago. And when I hit an all-time low, God began to teach me how to change my routine, and it changed my whole life. So I put it all in this, I call it my Dream Routine Planner. And I'm telling you, you will feel organized and in control of your life. Now, there's a place for you to record your goals. I found out that the most successful people write their dreams and goals. In fact, Napoleon Hill interviewed 500 millionaires years ago, like Alexander Graham Bell, Charles Schwab, John D. Rockefeller, Thomas Edison, and he wanted to discover if they had anything in common. You know what he found out? Every one of them had clearly defined written goals. So I thought, we can do this. See, the thing is, most of the time we put our goals in a drawer, on a computer, on a flash drive, and we never look at them again. Well, that was actually discovered as the #1 reason goals go unachieved is because they're out of sight. Well, not anymore. You will have them clearly written and daily before your eyes with your Dream Routine Planner. And you're going to have so much fun adding photos. And when your dream manifests, you can just look back over the year and see what your faith produced. Okay, also, something fun I added to this because it changed my life was making positive declarations. Now, I put some of my favorite declarations with scriptures for you to declare. But there's also a place for you to write your own declarations. So just get into the habit, because if you want to know where your life is headed, listen to the words coming out of your mouth, right? There's a place for you to journal your gratitude every day. There's a time map, which if you've never used a time map, this has been the greatest tool to help me get control of my time that I have ever used. And I'll explain how to use it in the planner. So I know you're going to love this unique planner to help you get organized. I don't know about you, but organization just brings me so much peace. So just call the number on the screen or go to terri.com and we will ship it directly to you. Hey, I just wanted to mention real quick, you should follow us on Instagram. From time to time we do giveaways of different products, so be sure to follow us on Instagram. Okay, the fourth habit is get into the habit of encouraging yourself, which is kind of what I just said about positive declarations. And you might even be thinking, wait, what? A habit of encouraging myself? Here's the thing. You will behave on the outside the way you talk to yourself on the inside. You interview any successful person and they will tell you how important positive self-talk is to your confidence. You must believe you can succeed. The Bible says that David encouraged himself in the Lord. Well, if you want to live an extraordinary life, you have to become your own best cheerleader through positive declarations. Some people call them affirmations. And it's funny because successful people stumble upon these principles from the Word of God. Olympians do this, CEOs, celebrities, Jim Carrey, Tim Tebow, Susie Orman, Will Smith. They realize that life and death are in the power of the tongue. They may not know it came from God's Word, but they know how powerful words are. So here's the thing. When you look at your goals, it may look like your dreams will never happen, but don't speak it. It may look like it's going to take years to achieve it, but don't speak it. It may appear that nothing is working in your favor, but don't speak it. Because if you want to know where your life is headed, listen to the words coming out of your mouth. And we get used to saying negative things like, I could never afford something like that, or that's just too expensive for me, or I can't lose weight no matter what I try, or I could never make that much money. I'd never get that job. I could never live in a house like that. Stop all those I could never statements from coming out of your mouth, because you're limiting yourself by your vocabulary. Your words are keeping you locked in the very thing you want out of. I think about the Miranda rights, how they say anything you say can and will be used against you. It's true. In fact, I heard Stephen Furtick make this statement. He said, after any phrase in your life, practice saying, and that's just the way I want it. In other words, I guess we'll be in debt forever, and that's just the way I want it. Or I'll be the last one to get married, and that's just the way I want it. At this rate, I will never have a baby, and that's just the way I want it. No, if it's not the way you want it, don't speak it. Don't let it come out of your mouth. So you got to give yourself a pep talk, not accidentally, intentionally. And this is part of getting your life organized. That's why I put my declarations in your planner and a place for you to write your own personal affirmations, right? Because when I began to realize this, it's a two-step process. Number one, stop saying negative things. But number two, start saying positive things. And when I started doing that, my life began to move in the direction of my words. So first, I started with a list of declarations to speak in my little guest bedroom every morning. And yes, I felt ridiculous. I felt like a fool. My family's swimming, they're playing games, and I'm in my bedroom just reading these things out loud. And everything I was speaking was the opposite of what was really happening in my life. I would declare I'm confident because I was so insecure. I would say I'm courageous because I was so full of fear. I'm qualified by God because I was so unqualified. But you know what? Every time you speak it out, you believe it even more. Then I started kicking it up a notch. I said my books are sold in bookstores across America. I hadn't even written a book. I said we receive $1 million in revenue. The most we'd received was $83,000. One time I said I have the nicest office space in the harbor at Rockwall, Texas. Our office looked like a janitor closet. But every day, I would walk past these wealthy guys with the marble floors and the chandeliers and the view of the lake, and I would declare, we have the nicest office space. Then I started saying, I speak at the largest conferences in the world. The most I'd ever spoken to was 325 people. But you know what? Every single thing that I began declaring became a reality. If you'll change what you're saying, you'll change what you're seeing. You got it? Okay, number 5, fifth habit is to stretch yourself with goals. Now, if you want to get your life organized and live an extraordinary life, be a lifelong goal setter. Did you know that the very act of sitting down and making a list of goals that you want to accomplish this year, it gets your blood pumping, it gets your heart rate up, you become alert and excited. You feel good about yourself when you're working on something that's important to you. In fact, I read where Darren Hardy, he used to be the editor of Success Magazine. He interviewed the most successful people in the world, Howard Schultz, Oprah, Warren Buffett, Jeff Bezos, all of them. And he said every successful person he ever interviewed had 2 things in common. Number 1, they're committed to continual learning. And number 2, they're committed to continual goal setting. Well, I'm convinced that this act alone has caused our ministry to distinguish ourselves among others. We do strategic planning, we think, we plan, we strategize. We write our top 10 goals. We print them out. We read them out loud 52 weeks of the year, and we chart the progress. And that's why I added it to your planner. It's a place for you to write what you're believing God for. And once it manifests, and I'm telling you, this is such a faith builder. When you look back over the year and you see what God has done, it builds momentum to go after bigger goals. Real quick, I want to share, before I close this out, I want to share 6 mistakes in goal setting that I learned from Michael Hyatt. This will help you so much. You ready? I'll go fast. Number 1 is you set too many goals. I used to set like 43 goals. Well, the biggest way to lose your focus is having too many goals to focus on. They say man who chases 2 rabbits catches neither, right? So research supports staying between 7 to 10. Number 2, you don't write your goals down. Dr. Gail Matthews did research on goal setting, and she wanted to know, what is the impact of writing down your goals? Do you really have to write them down, or can you just mentally leave them in your head? She discovered the very act of writing them down gives you a 42% greater probability of achieving the goal, even if you don't do anything else. So see, you can casually say, I'd like to have $10,000 in my savings account, but nothing happens or makes it a true focus until you write it down. Number 3, you don't make your goals specific. You might say, I'd really like to make more money, but until you make it concrete, it's doubtful it's going to happen. And in most cases, it's too broad. You say you want to increase your salary, how much? You say you want to lose weight, how much? You want to read more books this year, how many books? Got it? Number 4 is you don't assign a deadline. Deadlines are motivating. They create a sense of urgency. A lot of people are afraid of setting deadlines because they're afraid they won't make it. But here's the thing. You can move the deadline. Okay, number 5 is you don't stretch yourself outside your comfort zone. You need to be uncomfortable. This is where you have to put a demand on your faith. See, it's not compelling if you just already know you can achieve it. So set a goal in the discomfort zone. You got it? This is where prayers are answered. This is where you go back and you say, look what God has done, because I couldn't have done it without him. And number 6 is you don't make your goals visible. This was discovered as the biggest reason goals aren't achieved is because we put them in a drawer, we put them on the computer, and we never look at them. So again, that's why I put them in your daily planner. Every day, you just take 2 minutes, look at them, speak them, call those things that be not as though they are, and thank God in advance. It's that easy, right? So I want to encourage you to get your own planner, to get organized. I'm telling you, everything I shared with you today can be organized in one place in the Dream Routine Planner. Somebody said that no one ever plans to fail. They simply fail to plan. Well, there's a place for you to plan your priorities. There's even a place to keep track of your personal growth, the books you're reading, the messages you're listening to, the conferences you attend. This alone will help you be very intentional about your personal growth. John Maxwell said next to his faith, planning his personal growth is the greatest thing he's ever done. So that's why I added it to the planner. So again, there's a place to record your goals, your declarations, what you're grateful for every single day. And it's amazing. We get testimonies daily of people reaching their goals, paying off their credit cards, their student loans, losing weight, getting degrees, traveling the world, you name it. Why? Because now they're very specific about their goals. So I'm excited about you getting organized. You know, this week we reduced the price of our planner. It's normally $49, but you can get it for $39. So call the number on the screen or go online to terri.com and we will ship it directly to you. We have black, pink, and turquoise. So you can pick your color while supplies last. But I know you're going to have so much peace feeling organized, feeling like things are in order. You know, God says that He wants us to do everything decently and in order. Well, now you're going to have your goals in order, your declarations, your daily agenda, and don't worry about trying to remember everything I shared. It's in the planner. I explain it to you. So I'm grateful that you were a part of this with me today. I know it was very, very practical, but I like to put the practical with the spiritual and bring them together. So let's get organized together. And I want to remind you, stop looking at all the years you've lost. Let's look at the years you've got left. Let's get things in order. Let's get organized. Let's have a plan, not only for your life, but to wake up tomorrow morning. And don't forget, I'm here cheering you on to live your dreams.
Have you been stuck in a rut and are ready for change? Maybe you sit down at the end of the day and wonder, what did I accomplish? Well, it's time to get organized and create an effective plan for the big dreams and goals God has placed in your heart. With Terri's new My Dream Routine Planner, you'll be able to easily create clear, daily, weekly, and monthly action plans to live on purpose and reach your goals. Inside this practical 90-day planner, you can keep track of your daily personal growth habits, as well as journal your time with the Lord and your gratitude, plan your days, review your goals, speak positive declarations, and so much more. Hurry over to terri.com or call the number on the screen to order now at this special price. Get ready to accomplish more, stay focused, and pave your clear-cut way to success. Don't delay. Call the number on the screen or go to terri.com today.
I want to ask you to help me with something very important. At our ministry, we are committed to many outreaches, but something that is so close to my heart is the work we do rescuing women out of human trafficking. You may not know my story, but after I was violated as a young girl and dealt with horrible insecurities and deep shame, I made it my mission to help young women. So each year we provide funds for local safe houses to give shelter and resources to young women. Not only that, but we've actually gone into clubs in some of the roughest parts of America where exotic dancers are actually being trafficked. And I'm telling you, going into these dark places, it pushes me out of my comfort zone. But when I look these precious girls in the eyes and tell them face to face how valuable they are to God, it impacts their life and mine. Well, all of this is possible because of our amazing monthly partners. Would you become a monthly partner with our ministry and help me fight against this demonic attack on young girls? Visit terri.com/partner or call the number on the screen today.